Okay, I now reconvene to the regular meeting of the Board of Education at 6 p.m. with Cruz, Gagne, Hernandez, Nah, and Schaefer in attendance remotely via Zoom. The board met in closed session from 4:47 p.m. to 5:44 p.m. regarding public employee discipline, dismissal, release, public employee appointment, elementary principals and junior high school principal, and public employee performance evaluation superintendent. The Board of Education took the following actions. The Board of Education voted to appoint Lori Warner, elementary school principal, Butterfield Ranch Elementary School, effective July 1, 2020, by a vote of 5-0, with Cruz, Gagne, Hernandez, Nah, and Schaefer voting yes. The board also took action to appoint Karina Hathick, principal, elementary school at Country Springs Elementary. Effective date is July 1, 2020, by a vote of 5-0, with Cruz, Gagne, Hernandez, Nah, and Schaefer voting yes. In closed session, the board also took action to appoint Denise Sunderland, principal, junior high school, Cal Aero K-8, effective July 1, 2020, by a vote of 5-0, with Cruz, Gagne, Hernandez, Nah, and Schaefer voting yes. Also in closed session, the board voted to accept the resignation agreement and general release between the district and certificated employee number 872. Pursuant to the terms of the agreement, certificated employee number 872 will resign effective June 30th, 2020 by a vote of 5-0, with Cruz, Gagne, Hernandez, Nah, and Schaefer voting yes. There were no further actions in closed session that require public disclosure. Moving on to our Pledge of Allegiance. Mrs. Gagne, please lead us in the pledge tonight.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Schaefer. If everybody could rise and place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mrs. Gagne. Moving on to presentations. The Julie Gobin Memorial Hit the Greens for Scholarship check. Tonight, joining us via Zoom is Tim Adams from School Portraits by Adams Photography, who would like to present a check to the district, which represents the generous dollars raised at the Julie Gobin Memorial Hit the Greens for Scholarships annual golf tournament from earlier this year. Mr. Adams, please.
Thank you very much. Dr. Enfield and school board members, I really appreciate your time tonight. I know you got a lot of issues to get to, so I'll be quick, but I just want to thank a few people. You know, we've been doing this our 11th year, and this event gets more fun each year, and I hope that we can continue to do it for you. We're happy to do it. As long as you guys will have us, we'll continue down this path. So you know, the old adage that it takes a village to put something on, and that's really the case. I mean, from the folks that come out and play golf and just kind of hit the ball around, that want to support the district and the students, to every PTA at every elementary, junior high, and high school, that every year our lobby is filled with baskets and gifts, and it's amazing. And so, and then the corporate sponsors that come in and support throughout the year, they're pinging us and emailing us, want to know how they can get involved and when to sign up. And this went from this kind of golf tournament to this, in my opinion, an event I'm really proud to put on. So from the PTAs to all the school help, all the principals and office staff, to our sponsors, to my team, we put a lot of time and effort into this. My wife, Sally's the host. She won't dare come on a Zoom call, but I get to stand up here and present the check. So, but she does all the heavy lifting, and she's the brains of the organization for sure. So, you know, in our world, we talk a lot about metrics and how we gauge our success. And this year, we had the most golfers with 125 golfers. We had more sponsorships and sponsors than we've had in previous years. I think all in all, we raised total gross was around 46,000, but the net of that And I'm fairly certain this is the largest donation we've been able to provide so far, and it was $33,372.60, which puts us over that $300,000 mark for the entire 11 years, which I'm happy to be a part of, and we're happy to do this for the school district and the students. So, and then for the school board to allow us to rename this last year to the Julie Goden Memorial. I say it every year. I get choked up when I say it, but Julie was one of my favorite people, and this golf tournament wouldn't happen if it wasn't for Julie. She coached us all the way through it, and we were sad to see her go, but hopefully this will help her live on. So thanks again for letting us do this, and we really appreciate being partners with the school district.
Mr. Adams, thank you. Dr. Enfield, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, please. Tim, again, I want to thank you, Sally, and your staff for putting this on every year. You guys do a phenomenal job. And again, we truly, truly appreciate it. And you know, with the COVID-19, I think more than any time, our kids definitely probably need these scholarships to help support them. Some of them were probably counting on money, probably from families helping out. And we know this has been very devastating to a lot of people. And so I think it's going to be something that they truly appreciate. And again, you guys do a great job, and I'm just proud to be able to partner with you year in and year out. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Those are kind words.
Yeah, Mr. Adams, from on behalf of the board and the entire Chino Valley Unified School District, we thank you very, very much.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll see you
bet.
guys
Thank
next
you.
year.
You bet. Take care.
All right, take care.
Moving on to our next presentation, the military salute. As many of us know, we have a military salute. The board typically honors these young men and women for their selfless decision to serve our great country, despite the current situations. Staff thought hard outside the box and found a way to continue the military salute tradition without compromising the health and safety of these young heroes. Jaime Primus, Communications Director, and Andy Johnston, our Public Information Officer, thank you very much for your hard work in creating this virtual military salute that we're about to see. Ms. Bunton, if you could start the presentation, please.
Chino Valley Unified School District salutes our graduating seniors who will be serving our country through enlistment or appointment to the United States Armed Forces. Brian CHOW, United States Navy. Daniel Cornejo, United States Marine Corps. Daniel Parker, United States Marine Corps. Jacob McCormick, United States Marine Corps. Laura Martinez, United States Navy. Michael Martinez, United States Marine Corps. Brandon GARCIA, United States Marine Corps. Kevin Portillo, United States Marine Corps. John Lynn, United States Army. Angel Becerra, United States Marine Corps. Daniel Pastrada, United States Marine Corps. Jesus Rodriguez, United States Marine Corps. Riley Taylor, United States Air Force. Alejandro Torres, United States Navy. Alyssa Lim King Han, United States Navy. Angel Alvarado, United States Marine Corps. Brienna Goodspeed, United States Navy. David KLINE, United States Navy. Elijah Iverson, United States Marine Corps. Jackson Belville, United States Marine Corps. Jennifer Sharp, United States Army. Joseph Jew, United States Navy. KADEN Jorgensen, United States Navy. Mario ZERMENO, United States Marine Corps. Megan Ross, United States Air Force. Miranda HAWES, United States Navy. Nathaniel MERILUS, United States Navy. Selene Ruiz, United States Navy. Zane Buhagiar, United States Coast Guard. Thank you for your service and congratulations.
Great. That was very, very nice. Thank you to all that were involved in putting that together and putting it on. Are there any board members that would like to make any comments? Ms. Hernandez?
Yeah, thank you. I was like, did I unmute myself? I am glad that we were able to acknowledge and recognize our courageous students who are, going to serve our country. And so I am appreciative to everyone that put this together, but most importantly to our graduating seniors who are giving the ultimate sacrifice for our country at this time. So congratulations to all of them. Thank you for your upcoming service.
Thank you.
And I have a comment.
Go ahead, Mr. Na.
Yeah, some of them, they have such a baby faces, but they have grown to be such a young man and woman to defend and protect our country. So I really appreciate them. And I'd like to also thank their family members that who has raised them to be a righteous and good children. And what an excellent job presentation, the first time on Zoom. But I'd like to thank also our technology department, such a professional job, and they deserve all the recognitions. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Na. Any other comments from board?
I have a comment.
Ms. Gagne, please.
I just want to thank our students for their service. I wish we could all shake your hands in person and give you the respect due for your decision to serve our country. And especially as we move into Memorial Day, I just want to, recognize you for making this choice. And I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Mr. Cruz, I cannot see you. Would you like to make any comments?
Yeah, our beloved Americans that keep our, our freedom intact. They're our heroes. God bless them.
Yeah, thank you. This is actually my favorite board meeting of the year. And so I too am extremely glad that we could do something to honor those of our graduating seniors that have chosen to give of themselves and serve our country. So thank you very much to all of you. Dr. Enfield, if you could please, I know that some things were sent to either home or be delivered to their home that they normally get at this meeting.
Yes, all that is being mailed out to them, the certificate, the flag, and a letter to congratulate them and thank them for their service.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you, everybody. Moving on to comments from our student representatives. Once again, because of the current situation, Ms. Audrey Ng is not with us. Later we will be voting on her replacement. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank her for the fantastic job that she did. And as soon as things get back to quote unquote normal and we can get to an in-person meeting, I think the plan is to have Ms. Ng come back so that we can properly recognize her for her service to the board and to the district. Moving on to comments from our employee representatives. I do not believe Ms. Walker is with us. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, moving on then to Mr. Danny Hernandez, CSEA president.
Good evening, President Schaefer, board members, Superintendent Enfield, cabinet, and community. This week, at this board meeting, we typically recognize our unsung hero for the district, those that go a little bit above and beyond each year. Because of our current situation, we're going to postpone it so that we can give them a proper recognition at a later date. This week also, May 17th through the 23rd, is CSCAW week. It's Classified Appreciation Week. And at the beginning of the week, Dr. Enfield, I wanted to thank you for sending out that kind note to all staff. It's one of those times that throughout the year, we recognize our classified staff for all that they do. Each year, I try to recognize certain groups. Our MOC staff, transportation, special ed. I always forget somebody, so I try not to. Nutrition services, clerical, warehouse, custodial staff, our trades, human resources, business, purchasing, payroll. And before our meeting started, I seen quite a few of our technology staff, especially in this time right now where we seem to be having a lot of these Zoom meetings. Their role is very integral. Just like Mr. Nas said, maybe their contributions go unnoticed, but every one of them is appreciated. On a personal note, I'd like to wish Mr. Mackesy a happy retirement. It's very few and far in between that we come along each other's paths where we can honestly say, I wish you the best in your next phase of your life, and congratulations. And with that,
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. And representing a champ, Mr. Tom Mackesy.
Good evening, President Schaefer, board, Dr. Enfield, cabinet, and everyone viewing this video. This has been said many times that this is an unprecedented time for all. And so tonight I would like to focus my remarks on 4 groups. First, at the beginning of May was the Day of the Teacher and Teacher Recognition Week. And our teachers, man, they have gone above and beyond. They have done such an awesome job in terms of stepping it up, learning stuff that they never would have had to learn in a million years, they thought. And they have just gone above and beyond. They have done such a fantastic job. So I really appreciate our teachers. Secondly, as Mr. Hernandez says, we are currently in Classified Appreciation Week, and the classified staff and personnel in CVUSD is just wonderful. I see them working hard. They are continuing to work hard to make sure everything works really well throughout our district. And of course, we really appreciate them. I have my staff at my school that is my right hand, and I appreciate everything they do and everything that the classified staff throughout the district does. The third group I'd like to recognize is our hardworking administrators. Just like the teachers, they have done, you know, I don't think I've ever done a Zoom meeting until this year, until the last few months. And now we're all getting great at distance learning and things like that. And so the administrators in our district also have gone above and beyond. And I really appreciate all their hard work and appreciate all of them. And finally, I'd like to recognize our raison d'etre, our reason for being, the students. Our students have been going on to their Google Meets or Zoom or whatever they're doing to make sure they keep up with their learning. And especially our seniors in high school and the ones that we just honored, they have been doing such a fantastic job. I really, really do love, that is the reason I got into education, is for teaching students and loving everything that they do. So you know, after 35 years, it's kind of bittersweet, and I've got a few more weeks left, so I'll probably be at one more board meeting. But I appreciate our students most of all, because that is the reason we are here. Anyway, with that, you guys all have a great night, and I'll be turning off.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on to comments from the audience on items not on the agenda. We are now at comments on items not on the agenda. As noted in the public advisory posted in the agenda, staff will now read into the record the names and comments of emails received during this specified window and in accordance with Board Bylaw 9323, meeting conduct. The comments will be read in the order the email was received. Email comments on agenda items will be accepted during consideration of that item. Pat, did you receive any emails from the public on non-agenda items?
Pat, I think you're muted.
We received 8 email comments as follows. From Kevin Busher, I hope you and your families are keeping safe and sane in this time of great fear and anxiety for our children. Please reinstate the 3 BRE teachers that need to keep their jobs in this unprecedented time of unemployment. 4.7 million people just filed for unemployment in California. Even my wife, Mary, who is an essential worker as a physical therapist, and 60% of nurse friends are furloughed. The 3 teachers do not have the ability to look for new jobs at this point because they are busy doing online teaching, meetings, and minimal interviews are happening right now. We need BRE to return to greatness, or our kids are going to suffer even more when they get back to school. We deserve and need an amazing principal and great assistant principal that support the students and teachers. We need amazing teachers that are empowered to help students and make school amazing places to learn again. The 3 teachers we're asking to be reinstated are those amazing teachers that these kids deserve to have, especially at this critical time. They truly care, and they're the ones running most of the programs at the school this year. The teacher union was hampered by late board approval and the inability to contract to strike when clearly needed. We have heard very little from Superintendent Enfield on how these issues are going to be addressed, so we fear that next year BRE will not be supported or staffed adequately. I was given a harsh reply from Enfield when I requested a parent committee or 1 or 2 representatives to help interview the new principal and assistant principal candidates. We need BRE to be fully supported with best staff possible. All board members need to step up and unite to help BRE have a productive future. I pray for everyone to make the right decisions to get BRE back on track quickly. From Joanna Salmon. Today, I'm speaking up for my 4 children, Bruin Salmon, Sr. at Don Lugo, Capri Salmon, Jr. at Don Lugo, Hudson Salmon, 7th grade at Allegiance, and London Salmon, 5th grade at Allegiance. As their mother, I have grown concerned in reading the new CDC recommendations for school to reopen in the fall. To list just a few that bother me: mask wearing, strict limiting of social interactions, no switching classrooms, walking specific ways in hallways, and placing the physical barriers between students are just absurd. The list goes on, and as I read it, I picture my children acting like robots or a herd of cattle being carefully led to where they can sit in class and do nothing to interact with those surrounding them. An image of jail rather than a school comes to mind. The 3 main reasons I send my children to public school is to grow academically, grow socially, and participate in high school sports. My belief is that none of these can be accomplished if the CDC recommendations are carried out as listed. How are children to learn as they sit in fear of being infected or infecting someone else? I beg of you to please think of our children. Let them be children and not robots. Please don't use the word new normal, for it is not normal, not acceptable. If these guidelines are implemented, I will surely be pulling my children out of the district and be teaching them at home. I homeschooled my daughter Capri out of necessity her 8th grade year, and I will make that choice again if CVUSD implements these CDC recommendations. I have heard from many parents in the district who feel the same and are prepping for homeschooling just in case the guidelines are implemented. Please make the right choice for our children. Thank you, Joanna Salmon. From Natalie Nielsen. As a parent with a child who suffers from severe ADHD, the new CDC guidelines for schools reopening is greatly concerning. Due to the major lack of socializing and the drastic change to my son's schedule, he has experienced manic episodes and even expressed that he wanted to kill himself. He's 6 years old. Disallowing children to play and proper brain breaks, as well as cutting out all social time and forcing mask wearing, can cause heightened anxiety and frustration and can inhibit our children's mental health. The solution to this cannot be worse than the problem itself. For many children, school offers the only peace, protection, and social stimulation that some children receive. And to cut that out for fear of something that has drastically avoided this age demographic is ridiculous and ruining our children's learning experience. This who fear their children may contact a virus and share residence with higher risk individuals can take extra precautions as they feel are needed. But to punish all children and completely alter their experience is robbing them of so much. I hope you will take into consideration the mental and emotional health of our children as you make decisions regarding the fall school year. Thank you, Natalie Wilson. From Amy Zoke, good evening. I am a parent of a special ed high schooler in Chino Valley. Like all of you, I have my desire to know about schools reopening, and I think about safety. I have some points I would like to make. My son has an IEP. He is in his functional skills class all day, every day. He has many IEP goals and many minutes to cover. His teacher has done a phenomenal job during this crisis and respect that tremendously. However, these past 10 weeks were an emergency, and at the start of the school year, we are no longer in emergency. As you plan, please do not forget your legal obligations to fulfill the IEPs and provide FAPE to our special education students. For example, since their class size is already around 15 and their classrooms are larger, they would be allowed on campus all day, every day. Please take this into consideration. Please don't make decisions now. It is okay to plan and discuss, but guidelines and phases change weekly, and making a decision now on reopening may lead to stricter rules than necessary by the time we get to August. Think of your employees and families. If you do not open all day, every day, you will create a childcare nightmare, not only for your employees, but for all families that come from single parent homes or two parent working families. Thank you, Amy Zoe. From Malia Kessler. The main benefit of public school is socialization through meeting students from other backgrounds, learning to work with people who are different from you, and learning to collaborate in groups. Seating students separately and removing rotational teaching takes away most of the benefit of public school, and other educational options become just as desirable. I do not support wearing masks in school. I will not send my children to school in masks. As many communities are discovering, it is a violation of rights to force people to wear masks. The same is true of temperature checks and daily health checks. Some ideas for what you can do that would not violate rights: take away the benefits of public education or treat our children like animals, but will protect the school district are. Install automatic hand washing dispensers, sinks and paper towel dispensers in all bathrooms. Have parents who send students on campus sign a waiver about not suing the school if their child becomes sick. You're already doing this to mitigate legal risk in athletics. Allow parents to choose whether they want on-campus or distance learning, or split elementary teachers within each grade accordingly. Junior high and high school could be an A-B rotation, which is done in the last city we lived in. Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday is half the classes, and Tuesday, Thursday, and every other Friday is the other half. This minimizes exposure while still providing instruction. Thank you for your service to our students. We are trusting you to make a logical decision that benefits their futures. From Candace Palmer. I do not support wearing masks to school. I feel all of this is too extreme. I do think we can still be cautious. For example, having portable soap and hand sanitizer dispensers. I feel this won't be school, but feel more like jail for kids. I definitely think it's good to be cautious, but this I think is too extreme, and the kids will have a hard time at school. Thank you. From Shannon Hoover. I wanted to share some of my thoughts pertaining to the opening of school in the fall and accompanying policies that may be implemented. The following chart is found on the CDC government website. The lower line indicates mortality for all causes by the week. With only 7 children dying in the entire US due to COVID-19 out of 95,924 total US mortality, it seems incredibly excessive to burden our children with strict social distancing guidelines. Some may assume that continuing with distance learning is the safest route. I have had a child whose teacher was phenomenal at distant learning, but that was only the case for one of my 4 children. 2 of my other children's teachers did their very best, and my high school student had one teacher who completely disappeared and stopped communicating with their students a month before school was supposed to be out. This is an unacceptable ratio when it comes to truly successful distance learning. Next fall, I would like to see the schools go back to normal as much as possible. I don't want them wearing masks, keeping 6 feet away from their friends, being herded directionally around their campuses, sitting far from others at lunch or in the classroom. I feel it is completely unnecessary. If they aren't likely to get COVID-19, then they aren't likely to transfer it to others. With additional medications and various diabetic medications now being used to treat COVID-19, the overall risks have lowered. If unnecessarily strict guidelines are enforced, I will likely be pulling my children out of school and teaching them myself or with other like-minded parents. Thank you for hearing my point of view. Sincerely, Shannon Cleaver. And finally, from Rebecca Garcia, Dr. Enfield and all CVUSD board members, we are deeply concerned parents of this district who have recently read the California CDC guideline recommendations for next year's school year. We are asking Dr. Enfield and this board to please consider these guidelines for our area when reopening our schools. We believe the recommendations to be extremely overwhelming and do not reflect the needs of our Chino Valley. As you may already know, our numbers of outbreaks, not including the county jails, numbers of infection in our area, in citywide area are on the lower side, and believe we do not need to be considering such drastic measures the CDC is offering to keep our kids safe here. Please consider that the CDC lays out these blanket type recommendations that are not one size fits all, and we feel these extreme measures can cause even more damage than good. Although the idea of wearing masks is meant to help spread the disease, we feel other strict guidelines of keeping kids from playing in their school playgrounds, not allowed to move from classroom to classroom, or even staggering their daily schedule is far more extreme needed in our Chino Valley area. We should not be comparing our plans with districts in Los Angeles or Long Beach, or not similar demographics as our Chino Valley. Please consider all current status and our unique Chino Valley thoroughly when making any final decisions for the sake of our Chino Valley community. Thank you, Rebecca Garcia. There is nothing further.
Thank you very much, Pat. We're now at item 1G, changes and deletions. Pat, are there any changes or deletions tonight?
The following changes and deletions are on the agenda. Human Resources, item 3E1, certificated classified personnel items, pages 165 to 166, delete the following. Delete the following names under appointment, summer feeding program. Jennifer Ramirez, Nutrition Services Assistant 1, Chino High School. Cynthia Tsunagawa, Nutrition Services Assistant 1, Chino High School. Stella Chan, Nutrition Services Assistant 1, Don Lugo High School. And Esmeralda Ross, Nutrition Services Assistant 1, Don Lugo High School. There are no further changes or deletions.
Thank you. We are now at action items. We have 2 action items this evening. Reminder to the board, we will be doing roll call votes as required. Item 2A1 is the 2020-2021 student member on the Board of Education. Recommend the Board of Education approve Justin Rendon from Don Lugo High School as the 2020-2021 student member on the Board of Education and administer the oath of office at a later date to be determined. Are there any email comments, Pat?
No email comments.
Board members, before we vote, let me share a little of Justin's background and why he is recommended to represent the student population within our district. Justin Rendon is currently serving as the class of 2021 president and will serve as the ASB president for the 2020-2021 school year. He has been an ASB as an elected officer since his freshman year and has represented Don Lugo at CADA, the California Association of Directors of Activities. Additionally, he has served as a Lugo representative for SAC for 3 years. Justin is also part of the Teen Advisory Committee for the City of Chino. He is ready to serve his school in his senior year and is excited to represent the student's voice on the school board this coming year. With that, may I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Motion with Mr. Na and a second with Ms. Hernandez. Comments, questions, or discussion? Seeing none, we will do roll call vote. Mr. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Gagne?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Na?
Aye.
And I'm a yes. Motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Congratulations, Justin. We look forward to welcoming you aboard and seeing you as soon as we can get back into the boardroom. Moving on to item 2B1, facilities planning and operations, the final facilities memorandum of understanding between the Chino Valley Unified School District and Allegiance STEAM Thrive Charter School. Recommend the Board of Education approve the final facilities memorandum of understanding between the Chino Valley Unified School District and Allegiance STEAM Academy Thrive Charter School. Are there any email comments, Pat?
There are none.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
On a motion by Ms. Gagne and a second by Mr. Nah, comments, questions, or discussion? Seeing none, we will vote. Mr. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Gagne?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
No.
Mr. Nah?
Aye.
And I'm a yes. The motion passes 4-1 with Ms. Hernandez a no. Moving on to our consent items. We're now at consent items. Pat, did you receive any emails reference consent items?
3 requests to comment on consent items. For item 3E2.
All of them are 3E2?
Yes, rejection of claims.
Okay. Board members, do you have any pulls? Mr. Nah?
I have no pulls.
Mr. Cruz?
No polls.
Ms. Hernandez?
No polls.
Ms. Gagne?
I have 2 pools. The first is item 3D2, which starts on page 55.
Okay.
And the second pool is item 3D5, which starts on page 67.
Okay, and I have no polls. For the remainder of the consent items, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Pat, before we pass this, do we need to hear comments? Because a board member did not pull the item that the public has comments on.
Yeah, I can read those into the record.
Should we do that before or after we pass the remainder?
We could do this now.
Okay.
This is from Ron and Myrna Martin. We have a complaint about Ayala's Band and Color Guard Booster Organization and their executive board, comprised of 9 people. A total group of 82 students and parents were due to travel to New York's Carnegie Hall in March 2020. The trip was canceled due to COVID-19. Since that time, we have been requesting a refund for the money we paid for the trip. And as of yet, we have not been refunded all monies. Ayala BAC has been stalling on returning these funds to all families who paid for the trip. 2 months have passed and it has not been resolved by the Ayala BAC. Our family has been greatly affected and financially hurt by the decisions made by Ayala's band director, Mr. Trost, director of percussive arts, Mr. Ike Jackson, and the Ayala Band and Color Guard Executive Board, as they were trying to keep our money and trying to say they are donations to the program, when this was clearly a payment made for a specific trip. Therefore, these are restricted funds. We have requested financial transparency, board meeting minutes, and asked them to hold a virtual meeting to update us on their progress, and they have denied all these requests. We believe that Ayala BAC has not acted in accordance to their 501c3 guidelines and is trying to misappropriate restricted funds and are asking for full audit and full disclosure of all financial records. Sincerely, Ron and Myrna Martin. From Tammy Famble. Good evening, board. I am writing in regards to agenda item 3E2, rejection of claims. This week, many parents sent an email letter to all board members concerning the Ayala Band and Color Guard Executive Board and CVUSD employee, Mr. Timothy Trost. Many parents are owed thousands of dollars in refunds for a canceled trip to New York. We have asked for updates and transparency beginning March 2020. As of today, we still have not received a refund, nor have we received information in regards to what we will be refunded or when. During these unprecedented times, it is hard on families economically, and we need the money owed to us to maintain our households. I implore every member on this board to please look into this matter and use their oversight authority to ask for a complete audit of all meeting notes, financials, and any information Ayala Band and Color Guard has related to the canceled New York trip. Respectfully, Arthur and Tammy Famble. From Heather Zuckel, we believe that the Ayala Band and Color Guard boosters have not acted in accordance to their 501c3 guidelines and are trying to misappropriate restricted funds. We ask for a full audit and disclosure of financials. Our financial loss needs to be remedied and is long overdue. There are no further comments.
Great, thank you for those comments. Now we will move on. For the remainder of the consent items, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Gagne, second, Mr. Nah. Roll call vote. Mr. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Gagne?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Nah?
Aye.
And I'm a yes. Motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Okay, the first pulled item from Ms. Gagne, item 3D2, page 55.
Yes. So I have to pull this item because my firm, my law firm Carlton Fields, of which I'm a shareholder, has a conflict. The same for item 3D5.
So moved.
Yeah, I was going to say, what about the motion before she spoke? I'm like, Second, Mr. Noss motion.
Thank you for the background information, Ms. Gagne, with a motion from Mr. Nah and a second by Ms. Hernandez. Is there any further questions, comments, or discussion?
Nope.
We'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Cruz?
Yes.
Ms. Gagne, you are abstaining or recusing? Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Nah?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion passes 4-0 with one recusal. Let's move on to item 3D5, page 67. May I have a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Motion, Mr. Nah, second by Ms. Hernandez. Ms. Gagne, please.
Yes, again, I have a conflict of interest due to my employer, Carlton Field, so I'm just recusing myself from this item.
Okay, any comments or questions from the board? Roll call vote, Mr. Cruz.
Yes.
Ms. Gagne, your recusal. Ms. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Nah.
Aye.
And I'm a yes. Motion passes 4-0 with one recusal. That'll do it for the consent items. I do not see any information items this evening. So we will move on to communications. Board member and superintendent communications. Mr. Nah, would you please start?
Yes, Mr. No allowed me to go first.
Okay, Mr. Cruz, go first.
Okay, I'm just going to elaborate the people that were discussing about the CDC. You know, the medical policy goals was to flatten the curve. That was met, and reduce hospital overcrowding, which was met. 99% infected people have mild disease or zero symptoms. The lethality rate is the same or lower to the seasonal influenza of people under 60. The risk is high for people over 80. Children have virtually zero risk of illness. The seasonal influenza, unfortunately, 600 children die every year. For the virus, 12 have died out of 56,000. The JAMA Pediatric article surveyed 46 pediatric hospitals. They conclude the high chance of critical illness from seasonal influenza than COVID. There's zero scientific evidence to keep schools closed. There's zero scientific evidence to acquire masks in school. Zero scientific evidence to acquire spacing between children in school. And zero scientific evidence to keep summer programs closed. Children are not at risk. We should start opening up the schools in the coming school year and, you know, just have children be children. And as we delay the immunity, we affect the elderly. So there is zero risk when it comes to children. I like to read the statement from Yadi. Hello, Mr. Enfield. I come to you as a very concerned parent. It was brought to my attention that you are considering of eliminating the very much needed position of intervention services from our schools. I have a son in 3rd grade who has benefited from the intervention services provided at our school for ELA comprehension. It is not affiliated with his IEP. He currently is receiving services for speech. Unfortunately, his IEP does not include ELA comprehension. I feel that without these additional intervention services that his school currently provides, his grade will not have improved, especially after these 8 weeks of distance learning. I would think more students would need extra help to pull them up to grade level for the upcoming year. As of today, I truly believe my son will struggle in 4th grade in the fall, which will result in 1 and 2s for grades and comprehension, which is unacceptable. As of March 30th, the intervention service teacher has brought a sense of consistency for our son. I cannot express how important this service is for him and many other children that I know have benefited from it. We need to maintain excellence in our education and for all children. And whether we do certain things, eliminating, that we still provide services 100% to our children. Thank you.
Mr. Na.
Okay, thank you. Today, just this afternoon, I have spoken with a awesome teacher. He's going through a 3-day, 24 hours extensive chemotherapy. And his body was tired, but his spirit was up, all because of his students at Chino Hills High School, calling him and texting him and praying for him. And also, he let me know that Maria Peters, our former Don Lugo High School student now who's a singer with King and Country singing group, also had sent a message. And lastly, our NBA basketball player, Lonzo Ball, actually sent a video clip wishing him the strength and encouragement, and really moved him. But then I was more moved because he was more talking about his students. And therefore, I could probably say that we have the best teachers anywhere. These are the presentation of our teachers, good presentations. And I remember maybe 10 years ago, there was a student who had shared with me that there was a teacher on a rainy day, and he wasn't equipped with a jacket, unfortunately. But then this teacher allowed him to take his brand new leather jacket to home. And I believe this is the same teacher who had done that. So thank you for all the teachers who's serving our school district, and we can get through this. COVID-19, when we look at back in history, somebody had sent me an actually email to look up American Experience Influenza 1918. And I think it was made by PBS. I suggest everyone watch that clip. And it shows you that this had happened before in our country in 1918. Only difference was more people had died. Matter of fact, it was about 675,000 people. And it not only had taken lives of our young and old people, but it really attacked our youth, age from 20 to 28. But we had survived that epidemic, and without all this science. Now today, it was all closed. Our shopping centers are closed. Our works are closed, but we'll come back because this is how this country was made. And we are going to be stronger too. But at the same time, it's humbling us. And we think we're always almighty. And many times we have taken things as granted. But a little thing that we can't even see would take people's lives. in a second. So it really humbled us. I'd like to again thank Maria Peters and Lonzo Ball and all the high school students at Chino Hills. Thank you. Thank you for loving our teacher. I want more than entering to Harvard or Ivy League schools, I want them to become a good, decent human being. And I think we're there. So thank you. I'd like to thank Tom McKessie. I had known him for many years. He had treated each student as a precious flowers. So thank you. And you wouldn't know what kind of impact you had made on all these years, just loving children with lots of compassion and patience. We had letters coming from Ayala Band parents. So Dr. Enfield, could you please look into that, and maybe the problem must be resolved. It might have been, but if not, then could you just make sure that things will go right for all the parents and students?
Yeah, we're working. I've been working with Mrs. Yarbo. I think there will be some good news coming out shortly.
Great, thank you. And also, I got a letter from a teacher, and he was thinking that we were voting on his readmission to our school district, and I think he is our BRE teacher, and all these letters, emails they're sending, I guess we don't have the clarification as to what type of steps that they need to take to reinstate relief teachers. So Dr. Enfield, could you please clarify at this minute so that people will not come up with same type of letters and questions? Dr. Enfield?
What's the question, Mr. Na?
Yeah, see, they were thinking, because when I got a letter, I think this teacher was thinking that we're voting to reinstate BRE teachers, 3 teachers. And I think we need to clarify the steps they need to take in order for us to make a voting action item on the agenda.
Mr. Na, those are closed session items, and I wouldn't get into these at this time in public because of the closed session item and that it deals with employees.
I see. Okay. So that's all my comments. Thank you.
Mr. Hernandez?
Yes, I do want to make sure that it is clear that Dr. Enfield explained all of this to us in closed session. So because I don't want anyone to think that we weren't clear. Some of us were very clear. So Dr. Enfield, you did an excellent job in explaining in closed session. And so I just want to make sure, because the next emails that we'll get is that you weren't clear, and you were. So, and that's all that I will say, but I want to make sure that we're not alluding to lack of clarity or explanation on your part. So as we near the end of the school year, I just want to thank all staff throughout the district. And I mean, from HR to our classified, and of course our teachers, but Dr. Enfield especially, you've stepped up like no other that could have done under the circumstances, along with cabinet and every member of the school district staff has gone above and beyond. And so I just think that in closing this school year, what word can be used to best describe all of you is resilient, because that's what you've been throughout this whole process. And so I want to thank every employee of Chino Valley Unified School District. And I will just end with congratulating our graduating class of 2020. And, you know, it's unfortunate that they're not getting the recognition that so many of them deserved. And it's not just the valedictorians that I'm talking about. It's that, you know, student who was the struggler for 4 years and who thought, you know, they weren't going to make it. And by all means necessary, they achieved the goal, and they needed that recognition. And so it's unfortunate that they weren't able to, but I just say to every single graduate that I am very proud of the achievement and their success as a graduating class of 2020 from Chino Valley Unified. And I just wish everyone a great Memorial weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Gagne.
Yes, I first want to recognize our class of 2020, those who are graduating from our high schools and those who are promoting otherwise. I think something that you've all demonstrated, which I think is sometimes, forgotten or underappreciated by adults, is how resilient you are. And, you've demonstrated resiliency and you've demonstrated grace in a time when a lot has been asked of you, and you certainly didn't sign up for it. This is probably not how you thought the remainder of your school year was going to go, and for some of you, the remainder of your senior year. So I just want to express that, personally, I'm very proud of each and every one of you for how hard you've worked, for how resilient you've been. And I think this just demonstrates how successful all of you will be upon graduating from the district. I also want to recognize some students. The Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce held its first annual pitch competition for entrepreneurs. So one of the things that I wanted to do in serving as the representative of the school board on the chamber is really connect the school district with students and provide pathways for us to support student entrepreneurship. So one of the initiatives was to have a pitch competition. So sort of a take on Shark Tank. We put out a call for pitches. It could have been any sort of business idea. We had a bunch of students jump in and respond, be very creative with their pitches and ideas, and we narrowed it down to 5 finalists. And last Thursday night, the 5 finalists competed, and I just wanted to recognize those students this evening. They were very creative. The presentations I saw, Mr. Schaefer attended virtually as well, blew me away. They were amazing. These students did so much research, are so talented, and it just demonstrates, how creative, our teachers are in equipping these students around entrepreneurship, but also just on their own. I mean, we had a 7th grader from Canyon Hills Junior High who took 2nd place. It was amazing. So I just want to recognize these students and read their names really briefly because I think they deserve the recognition. Andy Berry, Rachel Tong, Lydia Chung, Elizabeth Dang, Kenneth Nguyen, Stephen Nguyen, Chris Shaw, and Ryan Chang. I just want to congratulate each of you for putting yourselves out there live on the internet and doing a pitch competition in front of innumerable strangers. You guys were amazing and very creative. And finally this evening, I do want to address, because one of the things that I think I've become more attuned to since serving on the school board is the use of social media in this community to communicate with one another. And clearly that's the point of social media, is to get messages to one another and connect. The upside of that is people are more connected. The downside of that is that when information or misinformation gets out into the ether, it spreads like wildfire. And I've gotten emails and phone calls and messages on my Facebook page about the CDC reopening guidelines. To step into my role as not a school board member, but a lawyer, I just want to be clear that guidelines are just that, they're guidelines. And the CDC is going to make recommendations. The EEOC is going to make recommendations. The state will make recommendations at various levels. That doesn't mean it's a mandate for any particular district to have to implement. So for those of you that believe that the CDC is dictating what this district is going to do as if it's a mandate, that's just categorically incorrect. So I just want to say that because over the next 2 to 3 months, as there are decisions being made about reopening schools, distance learning, all the things that we'll be considering, we will be evaluating all the guidelines and information that are coming out, and these are not mandates. So when it's represented that these are mandates, that's misinformation, and it causes fear and confusion and frustration, and it's unnecessary. And I think that as you are sharing this information, just please bear that in mind, because you have parents who become deeply concerned and upset. And much of what's being shared is miscategorizing the documents that are being shared by the CDC and other organizations. So I would just endorse being very careful about that, because again, we are a community, and part of being a community is stewardship with information and supporting people and making sure that, as we are working through this together, we're not forgetting the together part of it and needing to work through it. And finally, I do want to point out that I do want to make sure that we consult legal counsel about this evening's meeting. I just want to make sure that as a board, that we are not violating the Brown Act in any way. So Dr. Enfield, if you can please just consult with legal counsel. It's very important to me that the board conducts itself, even with Governor Newsom's declaration regarding the Brown Act. I just want to make sure that we're in compliance.
Okay.
Thank you. Dr. Enfield, do you have any comments this evening?
Yeah, first of all, I want to congratulate the class of 2020 on their graduation, and I wish them the best as they move forward. I also, it's the CSEA week, and I want to acknowledge and thank our CSEA employees for everything that they do to support our students, our staff, and our parents. And at this time during the COVID-19 crisis, they've been the ones who've been out on the front line, supporting and making everything happen throughout our district. And if it wasn't for them, any of the work that went on would not be able to happen. So again, I want to thank all of them for the work that they do. And then on Tuesday, June 2nd at 4:30, we're going to have a board budget study session, which will be streamed live, just like our board meeting is tonight. As most of you are aware, Governor Newsom came out with his May revisions, which indicated significant cuts to school districts. And so the budget study session will detail the proposed budget cuts for our district. And so we wanted to share that with the board and with the community. Again, that's on Tuesday, June 2nd at 4:30 p.m. Also, I want to reassure the community about the reopening of schools. There is a lot of information, and I want to assure them that staff has been working behind the scenes continuously. We're meeting with our associations. We've been meeting and been on state meetings, county meetings. We were on a meeting today weekly. We're looking and participating in meetings and looking at options and opening the district. And everything is very fluid and things are changing rather quickly as we look at this. I'll be in a meeting tomorrow. I've been meeting every few weeks with our county superintendent and all the superintendents in San Bernardino County. I meet with several other groups of superintendents in the state. And the topic we always talk about is the reopening of schools. And so it's one that we are very, very focused on, and we've been outlining a number of different options through our district. So with that, I want the community to know on Tuesday, June 16th at 4:30, we will have a board study session on reopening schools. We won't have a final decision by no means on that date, but there is a lot of information I think that we want to share with the public that we're receiving and some of the challenges, and also to share with some of the things that we're looking at possibly as we reopen the school. The reason I say we won't have a final decision is June 16th, our traditional schools open on August 10th. And so that still gives us time, and things can change between that board study session and August 10th because it continues to change in this environment. So I just wanted the community to know, and that will also be live streamed, just like our board meeting tonight. And with that, thank you.
Thank you. And I just have a few comments. I too would like to first start off by congratulating our graduates of the 2020 school year. It's been a difficult year and a challenging time for all of us. And I think as a district, and I know as myself and the board, we're very proud of the way you've all taken on the challenges and disappointments, because I know that those are many. You've lost out on a lot of the year-end senior events, and that's unfortunate. But again, we are proud of the way that you guys have risen to the challenge. Whether you're starting a job or a career, heading off to college, or joining our armed forces in service of our great nation, I wish each and every one of you the very best in all of your endeavors. And I would like to also thank those students again who have made the decision to serve in our armed forces. From my family, thank you very much. To all of our CSEA members, as we wrap up your appreciation week, it's said often, but your appreciation isn't just this week. We appreciate everything that you do day in and day out for our students and for our district. And so thank you for all that you do. And with the pitch competition, Mrs. Gagne, I would like to commend you and the chamber for an outstanding job. The competition was incredible. I was so impressed with the presentations and the quality and caliber of products that the students came up with, and the design and the pitch that they did. And it was really great, and I hope that it does continue. The other thing is, you know, Dr. Enfield kind of hit on this, and we will have some board study sessions. It's a tough situation, but none of us on this dais, none of us know what the starting of the school year is going to look like completely yet. And it's unfortunate because I know folks would like answers. I would like answers. I have a daughter. She's moving on to high school. I would like to know what's going on, but unfortunately, it's such a changing landscape every day that it's important for us to monitor that and continually change or alter our plans to roll out when the time is appropriate. And so, you know, again, we don't know what that looks like. I do know one thing, though, that it is extremely irresponsible for anybody on this dais and this board to say that there is zero risk to our students returning to school. That just has not been proven. And again, that is highly irresponsible. And I would encourage my fellow board members to really choose our words wisely when we're communicating this information to the public, because they're looking to us for guidance. And that kind of information is, again, irresponsible. So with that, I will close this meeting. The regular meeting of the Board of Education is adjourned at 7:06 p.m. Thank you.